Well, road agency Sanral hitting back at tender fraud accusations. The agency has come out and said there's a detailed process that has been cleared by the board and the National Treasury to eliminate corruption. Let's just try and understand how we got here, though. Reporter Hloni Mtimkhulu has been following that for us as well. And hi to you, Hloni. Good to have you on the show. So I was watching your coverage earlier. Sanral taken to court by some of its major contractors. Just help me understand how it got this far. What are we talking about here?
Yeah, so Sanral basically says that within the construction and engineering sectors, that transformation hasn't gone as fast or as quickly as they would have liked. And now they basically have been trying to do something about it, to the extent that there is now a new preferential procurement policy that had been implemented that was contested because of the jurisdiction around whether the minister can do it or whether it's Sanral that's meant to implement or to put in place these procedures. So there's part of it that is in court at the moment. But basically the issue is that transformation is not going fast enough. Small and medium-sized entities had been complaining to Sanral to say that major procurement is going towards only the big known companies and not so much us. So they're struggling to kind of get into the industry, you know, and there's sort of like the gatekeeping that sort of happens in those spaces. And so Sanral now is trying to address some of those issues. And they say that as much as we want, and they're having to find this balancing act between keeping their main companies happy that they've been doing business with for however many
they can also scale that kind of work.
Exactly, yeah. Right. And then also these smaller companies. And they're saying actually there's enough work to be done by everyone. We just need to work it out fairly. It's just, I think, getting around to doing it, there's some issues around that. The new procurement policy means that some companies, they say, will need to produce more evidence of their BEE statuses, if they truly a BEE company and that sort of thing. And basically, they're saying some of those companies have actually been hiding behind the old policy, and so they're trying to implement this new policy that will make it more strict, or have more stringent measures for those companies to access or to be more compliant. But this is how the chairperson of the board of Sanral, Themba Mhambi, explains what the main issue is. Gareth.
Yes, indeed. That is the main issue. The point scoring system, which they believe is going to deprive them of some points, and which we believe is going to advance transformation. But it will not make it impossible for them to continue getting some of the big projects. But it might help us bring in a few more previously excluded entities, black companies, into the fold of slightly bigger contracts. That is our belief as Sanral.
But I know you asked about this as well, Hloni, because procurement processes and the upgrading of that is only one facet of the issue. Yeah, it's one part of the solution as well. They must be looking at other ways of changing this.
And I think this is where it's going to be interesting. And I'm kind of struggling to understand what is going on. That they say that this is one thing, but actually bear in mind that we still want to introduce other measures that will deal with or address transformation in the industry. At the same time, they're saying, so if these companies don't comply with the policies that will eventually be on the table once all the litigation is finished, we won't sanction them. We'll still work together. Somehow we'll all come together. So I'm not sure how that will work. And I mean, I've seen, for example, in sport, where if there's no compliance, then federations have been suspended and that sort of thing, and there's been that sort of thing. But in this instance, he says that no, we'll still work together, we'll find ways to work together. I'm not sure how that will work when already there's resistance.
It's very kumbaya, isn't it?
Well, conveniently, or
yeah.
You know, it's a bit weird, because on the one hand there is that, but they've already been taken to court, and there's already resistance. So I'm trying to understand where in all of this the sort of working together will be found, when already companies are saying, but these rules go against what you've agreed with us before. But let's hear from again the chairperson in terms of saying that this is not the only step that we are going to take.
We want to put this on record as Sanral. Now, this is just one intervention on our part to empower previously disadvantaged, excluded, marginalized black companies. We have a number of other initiatives that we are going to implement in order to empower those who have not been as empowered as we think they should have been. But we must also put this on record, that all of that will happen within the framework where we continue to support big business and big companies in this country. They are major employers. They contribute big time to the economy of this country, to the GDP of the country, and we don't want them to collapse. They must continue to benefit from major infrastructural projects, and we shall ensure that we safeguard that particular aspect. But it has to be balanced with economic transformation for those who have previously been excluded.
All right, so Hloni, apart from the obvious questions that you've raised now, but this doesn't quite make sense, where does this story go to next, as I say goodbye?
So I think they said on Friday there's one aspect of this where an older procurement policy was contested. A decision is going to be made around that, and sort of who gets to make the decisions around that, because there were questions around, is it the minister's responsibility, is it Sanral's responsibility? So there's that. And then there was a new policy that was put in place, I think it was in May. That also, there are reports that that's also been contested. So I think there is still a long way to go, it seems, from my reading of this, to go in terms of this. There's definitely pushback from this, even though Sanral believes that they can all work together. Maybe obviously talks in the background suggest that there is some working together, but if they're already being taken to court and there's already some resistance or, you know, just dragging our feet around this, I don't think it will just be as quick as they want us to believe. I'm still a little bit confused.
You can't just will it into being just because that's how they want it to be.
Yes, basically.
Very glad you're on this as well, because it's a complicated story. Luckily, we have Hloni Mtimkhulu to make sense of it for us. She'll be on that throughout its run and its length of time, or however long that might be regarding Sanral. My thanks to Hloni. All right, coming up.